welcome back after the break. Welcome, everybody. For those who have just joined us, my name is Justyna and I'm the conference moderator today. Let me remind you that we've got 3 more sessions, including this one today. And if you would like to share your comments on what is being said, please share your comments in your chat box and make sure you send the comments to all participants and panelists so that everybody can see the comments. And now our third speaker, Bartłomiej Yanyak, who is a teacher, trainer and assessment senior advisor at Pearson. And Bartek has worked in the field of education for more than 10 years now, and his interest in professional and personal development of human beings resulted in completion of additional studies in professional coaching. And since then, he's been presenting and running workshops at numerous educational and business events. And today, Bartek will share with us how adopting the growth mindset in the classroom can help the learners grow and to reach their full potential. Let's listen about the benefits of introducing the growth mindset to language classes. Bartek, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Can you hear me? This is the first question. Yes, I think I can be heard. And I think I need the host to allow me to share my screen. So this is the first element. You're muted.
Shall you be able to do that?
Yeah, I need to do it.
It's on now.
Okay, yep. Okay, so can you see the screen? This is the question. This is the most popular question in 2021 and probably 2022. Yes, you can see the screen, which is great. So the growth mindset and the fixed mindset, this is something which is quite popular and people do know a lot about it, and it used to be popular. And I think some time ago when I attended the different lectures, there were people saying like, oh my God, there's a growth mindset and there's a fixed mindset element. But before we move on, there is a question that I want you to answer in the chat box. The question is, what went well yesterday? So the question, if you can hear me, because I can think that I see that I'm experiencing some problems with internet. The question is, what went well yesterday? And if you could type it in the chat so that I could see the reply, I would appreciate it. The question is, what went well yesterday? Think of your business. Try to put something in the chat box. Positive atmosphere, okay, the online lessons, okay, my classes. I listened to some inspiring webinars, the sun shone, yeah, my arrangement, designing a lesson, my teaching with our MBA students, which is really great. So actually someone from during the last lecture asked the question, is there any chance if you could give us some icebreaker? So here is the icebreaker. Normally you can start the lesson by asking the question, okay, how are you today? And let's get down to business and let's start with your homework. Or you can ask the question like, what went well yesterday? It's taken from the positive psychology, and this is about creating a feeling of achievement even before you start the lesson. So there's one element to finish the lesson with the sense of achievement, and there is a second element just to start the lessons with giving our students just feeling that maybe the yesterday didn't go as I planned, but I managed to find some elements that went really well. So treat it as an inspiration and do it in your lesson and just observe the reaction of your students when they reply. You can do it like a group activity or just post it in the PowerPoint, one picture just before when the students will be logging in the Zoom or the Teams lessons. Well, you'll need a pen and paper probably, because, well, if your memory works fine, you can try to remember everything. But if you think like putting some notes or drawing a mind map or a sentence or a simple drawing, anything that gives you a chance to remember something from this meeting and maybe to share the knowledge with the rest, probably pen and a paper would come in handy. So a bit of history just to start with. So the foundations of the growth mindset and the foundations of the fixed mindset. And probably it's not only about the history, but it's also about the present moment and the present times, as you'll see that some elements will be present during our conversations nowadays. So the first one, we used to believe in the deterministic theory. So then there are three aspects of these elements. The first one is genetic determinism. So basically it means that, well, you got it from your grandparents. Okay, so I am naturally good at languages. So, well, it seems to be running in my family throughout the generations. Or I have a quite short fuse syndrome, and I tend to be very aggressive at times, especially in the mornings. Well, the long legs run in my family, and well, the natural love for biology run in my family. And actually, I cannot do anything about it. Yeah, so this is something that I received as a present from the universe, and I cannot do it. So this is one element. The second element, this is like the psychic determinism. So it's not about your grandparents, but it's about your parents. This is how they raised you. This is how you were treated, how you were offered with love, appreciations, where you listened to, or maybe where you rejected. And this theory in the past was trying to show that this was the result of this upbringing. Well, you grow and you reach the age of 6 and 7 year old, and bang, you are fixed. And the result that you're a quiet student, that you are not taking part in discussion, might be the result that basically you experience some elements in your childhood. So it's not about your grandparents, but this time it's about your parents according to the psychic determinism. And the third one is called the environmental determinism. So it's not about the DNA, it's not about your parents, but this is about your spouse. This is about your teacher. This is about your boss. And this is about all the environment around you. So because of them, they shape who you really are right now. And actually you cannot do anything about it. Well, because the boss is your boss. My teacher is my teacher. I cannot change it. Well, there is an option, but normally I just follow him throughout the year. And it seems that I cannot do anything. So this is this deterministic theory that was suggesting that actually we are a bit shaped and we get a lot of things, and it's not so easy to change anything. So this is one of the bricks that actually, I believe, laid foundations for the development of the growth mindset and the fixed mindset. Then this is what Stephen Covey said, great leader, that actually it means that it doesn't mean that we are not influenced, because yes, we are influenced, but we are not determined. So this is the point to remember from this slide. If you were to finish at this moment, please remember it. It doesn't mean that we are not influenced, but we are not determined. And influenced by and determined by are completely two different realities, okay? So owing to our childhood, the education, and the surrounding reality, we could be influenced by, but it's not determining us who we are and who we could be in the future. The second element, this is the guy I truly love and admire, the Viktor Frankl, and you see his book, Man's Search for Meaning. If you haven't read it before, just grab it from the nearest library, get it online or from the bookshop, and please read this book. Just it's a nice eye opener. So this is the Austrian psychiatrist, and he had a chance to survive this trauma of Nazi camps. And during his imprisonment, he was trying to understand what is the reason that some people keep on living and some people basically give up. Okay, he was working quite a lot on the discovery of the sense of life, yeah, the logotherapy that he's responsible for. So he was trying to answer this question: what is the reason that some people keep on living despite very drastic circumstances around them, and some people basically stop? And one of the elements that he noticed is that basically there is a stimulus and there is a response. So I'm having the Zoom lesson and my students logging in, and I see that my students are not starting the meeting with a camera on, and they refuse to speak. And then there is a response. So this is my reaction to the situation that I'm experiencing at this very moment. And what he noticed, and then it's been discovered and it's been proven by the academic studies, that there is a space between the stimulus and then the response. And in this space, all human beings, they have a freedom to choose, okay? So then when you go on into the workshops from the field of the positive psychology, cognitive psychology, you learn how to extend this freedom, okay? So give yourself a bit more time so that you would reply to a situation in the best possible strategy. But we need to remember that between the stimulus, what happens to us, and how we respond, there is the freedom to choose. And as Viktor Frankl said, ultimately this power to choose is what defines us as human beings. And we may have limited choices, but we can always choose. So this is, I believe, the second foundation that actually gave birth in future to the development of the growth mindset and the fixed mindset. And then there is the last brick, which is called the Marshmallow Experiment. And I'm sure you must have heard of the Marshmallow Experiment, 1972, the first one done in Stanford University. And it's been repeated quite a few times just to see if they can get the same results or not. And if you're not familiar with the Marshmallow Experiment, just Google it and get the videos, and you can use those videos during your lessons just to demonstrate this experiment to your students. Basically, the idea was that little kids, they were given the option, okay? So the tester was putting the two marshmallows or the one marshmallow on the table, and there was an instruction given to a kid, okay, I'm gonna leave the room and I'm gonna leave you here with this marshmallow, okay? And if I'm gonna come back in 10 or 15 minutes. And if you manage to resist the temptation to eat this marshmallow, I will give you another one, okay? And then the tester, the researcher left the room, and the students and the children were being recorded. And if you want to see what was happening during those marshmallow experiments, you need to see the videos, basically. So some students couldn't resist the temptations, children, they ate the marshmallow like immediately within the very first second, okay? Some students were using various strategies just to resist the temptation, the dancing, looking around, just touching the marshmallow, just trying to smell the scent of this beautiful candy. And some students basically managed to resist the temptation, and they received the second one. And later on, those children were tracked in the future to see how they were coping in school, at the university, during different professions. And the initial observation was that those who developed this resistance, they could wait for the extra prize and they could resist the temptation, were doing much better in future at education. They had better grades, they were better at communication, they learned different strategies, and they were more successful in life. But this was something in the past. So the first observation is like that you've eaten the marshmallow and it will affect your future. And then we come back to the present times, to the Angela Duckworth, the psychologist connected with development of greed. I think she's at the University of Pennsylvania right now. So right now, what we know is not that you've eaten the marshmallow and it will affect your future, but you have eaten the marshmallow and let's see what can we do about it. So it's not determining you. It has some influence, but we need to explore the elements that you can use right now, just maybe to change yourself or maybe to do something differently. Okay, so the Marshmallow Experiment used to denote that once you do something, it will affect your life. Right now, we know that actually we need to see what we can do about your choices that were in the past. So that was the third foundation. And then there was those elements of the growth mindset and the fixed mindset. So the Carol Dweck, and the book was published in 2006. And the moment it came into reality, this is the book, by the way. If you haven't read it, just go for it. And just the world of educators, the psychologists went simply crazy. It's like, oh my God, the growth mindset is so cool. It talks about me. I'm the pure example of the growth mindset, period. And I'm going to be using the growth mindset in all my classes. And my students probably represent, or not probably, the 100% sure they represent the growth mindset as well. Actually, the reality is a bit different. Just in one slide, what is the difference between the growth mindset and the fixed mindset? So the fixed mindset, as the name suggests, it means that you are fixed. You are born with the set of talents. Your intelligence is set. Your beliefs are set. Okay, the opinions, the character is set, and you cannot do anything about it. That's it. You are given with the set of luggage, with the set of tools, and just go through life using those tools, and you cannot get a new one. Okay, so this is the fixed mindset. The growth mindset, as the name suggests, implies that actually you can grow and you can change and you can learn. And this is something that has been confirmed right now by the science, the neuroscience, the life learning program, the development of the neurons. Even when the people are old, it's been confirmed that people do learn and we can create new neurons despite the fact that we are aging. So basically, the growth mindset suggests that we can develop and we can use various strategies just to change. We could be influenced by the DNA, by the parents, by the teachers we had in the primary school, but using some specific elements, we can grow and we can become better or worse. Okay, it depends on the choice we make. And this is interesting because there's been quite a lot of research on the growth mindset. Here we've got the example of one of the research that's been done in 2016. There were around 600 K-12 teachers. And the question was about like, do you know something about the growth mindset? Do you believe that this is good? And 98% of them, as you probably can expect, said like, yeah, the growth mindset really helps learning and really helps in my teaching profession. But surprisingly, only 20% of those teachers replied that they feel competent about using those strategies in the teaching reality. The online reality, what is especially important, or the physical reality, but they said that they are not feeling quite competent. And the even worse information was that the score was even lower when they were asked about their fellow teachers. Okay, so the question was, what do you think about your fellow teachers working in the different department, under the same department? And they replied like, well, as for me, the growth mindset is, well, yeah, I know it, but my fellow teachers, oh my God, they are so fixed. So that was the first element, striking element. So although many people, educators, believe it's good, they were not feeling competent how to use those strategies. So these are some elements that you can try to answer to yourself. Just you can reply it in the chat if you want to share this information with us, or you can just think about yourself, because right now what you see, these are the triggers that will give you a hint whether you are closest to the growth element or to the fixed element. And I know that all the people say that, yes, of course, I'm close to the growth element. Yeah. So what do you do when you are facing challenges in your professional life or private life? So when you're facing challenges, is there a voice in your head telling you like, run, Forrest, run, okay? You don't want to be in this situation. Is this situation creating some form of extreme anxiety within you, that you lose some sleep over the problem? You have problems going to sleep, you have problems waking up, you wake up at 3 without feeling energetic. And do you treat those challenges as like lurking dangers that they are aimed at you and nothing will get better? Or maybe when you are facing challenges, you treat them as opportunities and you take a deep breath and you say like, okay, let's see what's gonna happen and I'm gonna try it, okay? So the first description was closer to the fixed element. The second one was closer to the growth element. Then the second trigger or the second element that could suggest whether you're closer to left or right, when you are experiencing setbacks in your teaching practice. So for example, the group is not listening to you. Okay, you ask the question in the chat panel and no one is replying. Or you agree with your students to be on time and they come late. Okay, or they start laughing. What are you saying to yourself at this moment, or what are you feeling? It's like, are you feeling incompetent? And you try to look for an excuse, and usually this excuse is external. You say, well, it's because of them. It's because of technology. It's because I was told to do it. Or maybe you treat the situation and you ask yourself a question, how can I do this element differently within the next session? Okay, whom can I ask for help? And looking at the first one, you look for an excuse, and usually it's very external. In the growth mindset, it will be closer to the internal ones. You say to things like, I need to work on it. I need to find a different element. Actually, it's not about them, it's about me, because I'm delivering the element. Then there's the next situation. When you are experiencing negative feedback, usually, well, the negative feedback shouldn't take place at all. I've been dealing with the business reality and the corporate sector, and I've been shadowing the feedback sessions. So anything named negative, well, creates a huge space for learning. But this is the question to you, is if you're experiencing negative feedback, do you become defensive? Do you become angry or irritated? Are you ready to defend your ground no matter what it takes? And you try to just flood the opposite side with arguments like blah, blah. It's not like this, it's because of this, it's because of A, it's because of B. Or maybe you are genuinely interested in what the other person is telling you. And maybe not inspired, but you feel open. And then you know that you can try to use some elements from this feedback just to become better, okay? Which side is closer to you? Is it the left or right? So is it more like fixed, or is it more like growth? And then the last trigger, the last marker, there is someone better than you in your department. There is your fellow teacher that says like that gets all the compliments during the meeting, during the staff meetings. And he's much better at using technology, and the students give a lot of positive remarks about this teacher, and he gets compliments, and students want to attend his lectures. He's using the Zoom like a masterpiece, okay? He's been born with Zoom, we can say. So what do you feel at this moment when you have this person within your department? Do you feel envious and threatened? So is there like a thought inside saying I need to be careful with this guy because he could potentially replace me, okay? and I'm not gonna get in touch with him. I'm gonna criticize, and there must be something hidden. He cannot be so good. Okay, do you say things like this to yourself? Of course, I'm exaggerating a bit just to paint a picture. Or maybe do you feel inspired or interested by his behavior, by the way he conducts the lessons? Are you ready to approach this person by the end of the staff meeting and say like, well, what can I say? I totally admire you. And I would be honored if you could teach me something, if you could share with me some of your teaching strategies so that I can become better as well. So which element is closer to you? Is like the first one, which shows the tendency towards the fixed element, or is it about the second one, which shows the tendency towards the growth element? Okay. What I want you to remember is that looking at the world nowadays, the world of psychology and the world of education, there are two main misconceptions about the growth mindset that people, we get it wrong. The first one is like a growth mindset equals effort, period. So some people believe that the more you try, the better you become. So try harder, do more of this, okay? Spend more hours studying this, and you're gonna be much better. So this is the first misconception. The second misconception is that growth mindset is about praising effort even if the student is not learning. Okay, so these are the things that people say like, he's trying really, really hard. And that's, I feel good. So these are the two main misconceptions. And there was an article published by Carol Dweck in 2015 or 16 that she claims that, well, it's time to revise the growth mindset strategy, that the book made really huge inroads into the world of learning, education, and psychology. But after some time, it's time to explain a bit more and in more details about the growth mindset. And then she pointed out that looking at the observation that these were the two most, the biggest misconceptions about the growth mindset. As for the first one, there's nothing wrong about the student having a clear goals and learning and trying really hard to achieve them, to make them come true. But there are two elements extra that needs to be mastered if we talk about the growth mindset. The first one is like learning new strategies. Okay, this is like a must. It's not like doing this type of activity in the same way. This is about the question from educator, how can you do it differently during the next lesson? How can you lead the presentation in a bit different way during our next meeting? Okay, so this is about learning new strategies, how to get there, not concentrating on one and just hammering it down. And the second important element of this is like accepting the input from other people, from the lecturer, from the teacher, and peer-to-peer feedback and peer-to-peer instruction. So this is very important as far the growth mindset is concerned. So there's a new strategies, okay? Constantly learning something new and learning how to accept input from other people and just using this input in this goal reality. So this is the first misconception. So we need to remember it. The second one, there's nothing wrong with concentrating on the mistakes the students make, especially when they prepare for a test or an exam. Hey, they need to be correct. But in the growth mindset, the conversation should be future oriented. Okay? So there is a mistake. Okay? You had your test result and this is the past. There is no much sense spending a lot of time digging in the past when we cannot transfer the knowledge into the future. So this is the great the great role of the educator, just to bring back the conversation into the future reality. Okay, so the Carol Dweck admitted in this article and in one of the interviews that there is a growth mindset trap. The first trap is like the people after reading the book, they believe that the world is black and white. So either you represent the growth mindset or you represent the fixed mindset. What we need to remember is that we are a mixture of the growth and the fixed mindset. And there are different situations when this fixed mindset kicks in. And the first element into introducing the growth mindset into the online teaching reality and the teaching reality is basically to admit in front of yourself that we as educators also represent the growth mindset and the fixed mindset as well. Just now you'll know it. Just look around, especially when going gets tough, and see what people say and what comments do they use when they are experiencing some hardship in life. This is usually the most visible when people into this fixed mindset element. So just to finalize, here are the example sentences that people are likely to say. Like, not everybody is good at English. Just do your best. Okay, so this one would be closer to, as you probably know, is it fixed or growth? This is the representation of the fixed mindset. Okay, so not everybody is good at English. Just do your best. It's like praising the effort and just keep trying. And just you need to accept the fact that, well, you got it from your parents. Maybe you should be a painter or whatever. Okay, so this is the example sentences showing that someone is using the fixed mindset strategy. Don't worry, you'll get it if you keep trying. This is the second example, okay, of the fixed mindset strategy. Just keep trying. Don't learn anything new. Just, well, forget about the input from other people. Just nail it, okay? Just go for it and just try really, really hard and you'll get it eventually. This is not about the growth mindset. It's about the fixed mindset element. When you learn how to use new grammar structure, it grows your English brain, okay? This is the example of the growth mindset, okay? So something that it's telling the students that when you learn the new grammar structure, when you learn new geographical location, when you learn new element from anatomy, it grows your biological brain or geographical brain, just whatever you call it. But this is like sending a signal that this person is developing. I'm not a good English student yet, okay? So is it like a fixed or growth mindset? This is about growth mindset, the word yet, okay? So this person is saying that there is an option in front of me, okay? So I might be getting bad marks right now. So I'm not good an English student yet, but if I learn new strategies, if there will be some valuable input from other people, I can grow my English brain and just develop. The point isn't about getting it right away. The point is to grow your understanding. What can you try next? So this is the really good question that's inviting the student just to test out new strategy. Okay, so what can you try next? How can you do it differently? So it could be the good lesson finisher. What can you try next? What can you do differently in a different manner, okay, as far as your homework is concerned? Or what can I do differently as a presenter or as a lecturer to make the lesson more interactive if I keep getting the silent students? And remember about something that actually when I was going through various courses and just in the past, during my studies in the high school, there was a tendency that we were afraid of mistakes. If there was a mistake on the lesson, the teacher basically got angry And it was the sign that I'm not correct. Okay, so then there was a question: do you have any questions that we asked during the lecture? Is there anything you don't understand? And there was a silence in the group, because the students are afraid that the moment they reveal themselves, they will incur the teacher's anger, or they will get a bad grade, or they will have a negative comment. So you were not listening to me as I thought, etc. So please remember, if you could change the mistakes for the mistakes. So these are the mistakes you must make in order to get ahead. And just to tell and be honest with your students that those mistakes are okay, because they are the progress, that they show the process of making the structure. They show the process of building the castle. And we need to stumble a few times before we get it right. So to put everything together, there were some elements that actually laid foundations for the development of the growth mindset. So we talked about this deterministic theory that you got it through your genes. Okay, genetic determinism. There was a psychic determinism that you got it from your parents. And there is the element of environmental determinism. Okay, this you got it from your spouse, from your teachers, from the boss, and from the workmates. So as Stephen Covey said, well, we are influenced by, but it doesn't say that we are determined by those elements. And sometimes this silent student, it might be good to have an honest conversation with these students that keep silent, because either as it was said before, they need time to think before they'll get a reply. They'll need to think for 2 hours, and they'll say something like, bang, it's super intellectual. Or maybe they believe that they are determined by the previous experiencing, that no one was listening to them in the previous educational sectors. So why should I be saying anything right now? Okay. And then there was the marshmallow experiment. So right now we believe, okay, you ate a marshmallow. Let's see what can we do about it right now. And there was the Viktor Frankl with the great book that I strongly recommend to read. So there is a stimulus and there is a response. And between the stimulus and response, there is a freedom to choose. So you may have limited choices, but you can always choose how you're going to respond to your student, not saying a lot during the lesson or not switching on the cameras. So it all laid foundation for the development of the growth mindset and the fixed mindset. So as we discussed, there's one tendency to believe that you are born with the fixed elements of the talents, intelligence, the beliefs, and you cannot do anything about it. And there is this growth tendency. It means that you can develop and you can grow, but there are several elements to remember. Okay, so the two main misconceptions. So the growth mindset, it's not only about the effort. You can try very hard to get what you want, but we need to remember that we need to learn new strategies in order to proceed. Okay, not always sticking to the very first strategy that seems to work, but we need to learn something new. And in the growth approach, it's very important to accept input from other people, okay? To learn how to accept, and first of all, to learn how to give feedback to other people. And then the mistakes are okay, but mistakes dwell in the past. So, okay, they happened, and the conversation should be future-oriented, always. If we want to leave our students during the online meeting, at the end of the meeting, we want to leave our students with this feeling of inspiration, or just giving them a slight push that what can you do differently next when you'll be studying biology, when you'll be studying the present perfect continuous. What can you do differently when you'll be learning the poem by heart, because you'll have to present it in front of the group? What can you do differently during the next breakout room session? Okay. And the very important element is, before we begin to implement the growth mindset within the teaching practice, we need to remember that we are a mixture. It's not black and white, as people began to understand it a long time ago. So we are the mixture of the growth mindset and the fixed mindset. And the first element was just to answer to yourself honestly into the mirror. Do I truly believe? And do I behave and act according to the growth mindset strategies? So we talked about those 4 triggers. When you're experiencing negative feedback, failures at your teaching practice, okay, when you're experiencing challenges, or when there is someone better than you, what are you saying to yourself at this moment? So it would give you a hint whether you are closer to the fixed or you are closer to the growth mindset strategy. And well, now I think the floor is yours. The question I have for you is like, what is your takeaway from this meeting? Okay, what do you think would be worth remembering? If you could share anything in the chat, that I think I would appreciate it. Okay, is there anything you'd like to remember? Is there anything you'd like to share with other people? Then just share with us in the chat box. The mistakes, the great phrase, yes. Okay, look forward, yes. The mistakes are brilliant. Be open for learning. Yes, we are not determined by, we are influenced. The mistakes, okay, not only effort, new strategies are important. And then think about your teaching reality if you basically believe and use it, okay? What new thing can you try next? Yeah, just this is the great question to your students. Stay curious. The words may shape, yes. Book of the Viktor Frankl, yes. Great. So remember that this element, when you have the inspiration, you've got a couple of elements. Start with one only and see the result. If you think that you could start with the lecture with the question, okay, what went well yesterday, or what did you do differently as compared to the previous meeting? Just go for this question only and observe the reaction. Just learn from each other, because the time for learning is now. And I hope and I think that this will be time to finish. There's always plan B and C. Okay, just get it into your teaching practice and see for yourself that this is the growth strategy and the fixed strategy and the acceptance in order to move forward.
Thank you, Bartek.
Thanks a lot.
That was very informative and inspiring, thought-provoking, I would say, and I hope many of the participants will look into the mirror in the evening and ask the question you suggested.
Yeah.
We are actually just on time. Yes,
yeah. Sharp.
So yep. I don't think we will start with the questions, because otherwise some people might be disappointed. But thank you very much for the session, and I invite everybody to a 15 minutes break. Thank you once again.
Thanks a lot.